Hey, what's up? This is Odulena from Odulena Digital, and today is the second part of Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, my second part of the book review. If you haven't watched the first part, there is the link there. But I'll make this video more for people who want to really know what's going on in the book rather than actually the ones who want to read it themselves. Let's say this video will have some spoilers. So if you intend to actually read the book for yourself and not know what happens exactly in the plot, you can watch my previous video. Welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new, be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so. Every Sunday we come with a new video, so we have some book reviews, we have some knowledge about Google ads, Facebook ads, online advertising and marketing, as well as recommendations for courses and online education. I work for Google, but everything that I'm sharing here is my own personal opinion and my own personal passions. So today I'm talking about a book called Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. It's one of the must-reads for especially someone who is interested in entrepreneurship, wants to know a little bit more about philosophy. It has a huge base of fans and huge base of haters. We got both of these actually on this channel, and it's fun to see the discussions that are happening around the book. So in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about the plot of the book, what's so special about it, and I'm gonna summarize actually all my findings having read the full of it now. Well, I finally understand what's the title about. The title, Atlas Shrugged, sounds a bit weird. It comes from Greek mythology. So Atlas was this giant who was holding the world upon its shoulders. Actually, some of the old covers of the book have exactly this image of the Atlas that's holding this huge globe on his shoulders. So this comes from the fact that Ayn Rand, the writer, she believes that people of the mind, let's say businessmen, entrepreneurs, smart engineers, inventors, composers, let's say the creative, smart creatives of the world, like the ones that are kind of driving society ahead, are something like Atlas, like these giants that are holding the world upon its shoulder. And we, all of us, the ones that don't want to take any responsibility, let's say the 99% of the world, who just waits for things to happen, doesn't do anything, doesn't initiate anything, doesn't want to take responsibility and carry any of the burden on their shoulders, they kind of pass it to these giants. They kind of expect the big ones, the great ones to do. This is kind of the attitude that people have, like, oh, who am I? Who am I supposed to do this? And there is this word shrug, which comes a lot in the whole book. You can see it through the whole novel, like this one shrugged, that one shrugged. And this is the act of people shrugging. For her is like taking the burden away. Let's say if you are carrying the world upon your shoulders, you cannot shrug. But if you shrug, if you do like this, if you shrug your shoulders, means that you don't know, you don't want to take any responsibility, you don't want to express an opinion, you don't want to take a side, you don't want to pick a side, you just want to be like in the middle, indifferent, you don't have an opinion, you just follow orders, and you just wait for someone else to pick up the burden carried, and you follow them like a little happy sheep. So this is where the meaning of the title comes from. We live in a society where there's a few of these giants that have the guts, the balls to carry the world upon their shoulder, and everybody else is kind of awaiting on them. They're depending on them. Let's say people expect to be given jobs, people expect to receive salaries, people expect someone to build railroads, to have trains, planes, harbors, ships, deliveries coming to their house, someone to do everything for them, to shop, to pick up the harvest, to create goods for them, to bring them to their house, and someone also to give them money for them to spend it and in order to live. So kind of like this mentality that everything has to be given to you because you need it. So this is one of the things that she despises, and in the whole book you can feel it, that this is like a society, utopian society, where people only get things that because they need them, not because they deserve them. What happens is that all these smart people start to disappear one by one in the book. And this turns out to be a secret movement that's led by one of the smartest engineers of that time, John Galt. And if you hear this expression referring to the book, who is John Galt? This means like who is this used to be an expression when you don't know something. Who is John Galt? I don't know. It's like the shrugging, and who is John Galt? And nobody knows where this expression comes from. Nobody has an idea. And apparently John Galt is this super smart engineer who almost invented like the perpetuum mobile. He invented like this motor which provides endless amount of cheap, really powerful energy. And he abandoned his invention, he abandoned his world, and he recruited a bunch of people like him, like the smartest, literally the top of the tops of the society, the biggest entrepreneurs, the smartest inventors, the biggest intellectuals, and one by one he recruited them, and they founded this little colony which is hidden by everybody else in the Rocky Mountains. So here the book starts to get a little bit freaky, and it got me a little bit yeah, I wasn't fully on board with this one. But yeah, there was like their Atlantis. So the Atlants created their own land where it's protected by a shield, so nobody can see it from the top. It's so isolated, and there's like, they have everything they need there. They have created their own mini society where they're taking menial jobs, like people who are like the biggest stars of the cinema or the biggest scientists are like flipping burgers and working in a pastry shop or something like this. They feel more fulfilled there because they earn their own wages, they live their own life, they create a world that they care about, and they have like a cause to be, they believe it's worthy for their work. And they feel much better than living in a world where they are kind of forced to oblige to the agenda of the others, let's say the politics, which is led by a bunch of unscrupulous guys whose idea is to control entrepreneurs, to over-regulate, to almost turn this into a supposedly welfare state, but actually really enriching themselves on the back of these Atlants, like taking money from their factories, unnecessary taxes, unnecessary regulations in order to kill competition, but in the same time enrich the ones in power. So this is like the protest of the Atlants. They form their own colony. They said, I don't want to carry this burden anymore. See what happens when I don't want to take the responsibility anymore. Meanwhile, the world is collapsing. Literally, there are train crashes, bridges falling down, and also the Atlants are having a lot of work being done in sabotaging the world because they want to accelerate its fall down. They steal income taxes. For example, there is this pirate that's stealing income taxes while they're on their way for humanitarian missions, just being given away to other poor countries. So that's like the philosophy of Ayn Rand. Like, she hates giveaways. She hates this kind of, oh, we should help the poor, we shouldn't fix ourselves, we should just give our money to the poor, and no matter, just because they need it, not because they deserve it. And if you see actually historically, like a lot of these type of charities where there's like just money given away, just thrown, they don't really help that much the ones in need. They are not sustainable ways, but often they are misused by corruption. So this is kind of like one of the points in the book. And literally in her utopia, when the Atlas are deserting the world, like things start to really fall apart. Science is being crippled because it's regulated and owned by the state. So the state is telling the scientists what they should invent and what they shouldn't invent. And the result is that the only thing that they invent is torture machines and mass destruction weapons to keep the peace. Well, does that ring a bell actually? Maybe. Finally, everything is collapsing, everything is being destroyed, and the government is helpless. So they want to solve this problem. How they're gonna exist? Because they cannot exist if everything is going down. So they find John Galt, they actually capture him, and they try to force him to take over the land, but he just refuses. They will like offer him everything. They want him to become the chief economic engineer of the country. He just doesn't want to do it. And this kind of course, reminds you a little bit about a biblical story. Like, you can feel a little bit of a correspondence between the story of Jesus and John Galt, especially in the end, which is kind of strange, but I guess this is Ayn Rand's philosophy. She is a little bit idealizing his character. He is kind of like super calm and chill. They try to tempt him, they try to torture him, and I love this moment. When they try to torture him, their electrical machine actually gives up because the electricity is down and there is a massive blackout because their whole infrastructure is collapsing. So what is my final verdict about this book? Do I love it? Do I hate it? Or it's in between? Well, I'm gonna be like Ayn Rand. I'm not gonna stay in the middle. She wants you to pick a side. You cannot be either or. So I would say I love this book. Honestly, it was very long. One thing I didn't like about the book was, like, I'm pretty sure that she could have got the same thoughts and the same philosophy through with less pages. Over 1,100 pages. It's a little bit too much. Actually, Ayn Rand wanted to make it as a movie script writer. So in that sense, the book was cool. It felt like you're literally reading a movie script, and it had a very valuable philosophy, which it resonates with me. The individual is powerful, and we all have the ability to achieve really great things, but being told from childhood that we cannot, that we shouldn't, that we should wait our turn, and there are bigger and smarter people in the world who have to take the responsibility for you. This is kind of like the worst thing that you can teach a child, and we've been taught this all our lives. So I think from that point, the book is really spot on. And there are several places that you can feel like really tight resemblance to our lives. You can also feel a lot of the influence of the Cold War. This book came out in 1957, the middle of the Cold War. You can feel also the hatred that Ayn Rand has, like as an emigre from Soviet Russia, towards communism. But to be honest, she has nailed some of the things that we see even in nowadays. She has nailed the so-called giveaway welfare policy, which is actually ending into impoverishing people and creating this kind of addicted to AIDS type of societies rather than sustainability. She has nailed this mentality of, I don't know, it's not my responsibility, that this can actually be encouraged by this type of state. It's just making things worse for everybody. She is also a big fan of the positively selfishness type of philosophy. You don't do things out of pity, you do things because someone has deserved it in one way or the other, which is very different from the pity of let's help the anonymous poor, then let's help the person who is striving and who is willing to develop themselves and make something out of their life. So there's a lot of things that I really love about the book, a lot of things that resonate for me. One thing, the only recommendation is way too long, way too long. Alright, thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe to this channel, and I'll be back with a new video next week. We're doing another book review, one of the books that you have requested many times, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next Sunday.